One of the big names in the Hollywood reporting game decided to drop trow on Marvel now because it seems like all the cool kids are hopping on the dunk on Disney bandwagon. And well, it's interesting. Like, there's so many things in this article that we will take a look at. It talks about She-Hulk. It talks about some of the other plans and programs that they had in development, might still be in development, all of the development problems. All of this also on the doorstep of the last announced, at least, announced major release. I don't know if they have any other little goofy gimmicks throughout the end of the year, but The Marvels. Like, The Marvels comes out in 9 days, November 10th it comes out, and Variety decides a week before that to drop this story that Marvel is in trouble. It's like, yeah, we've known this for a long time, and just like my critiques when it came to the South Park episode, you could have made that episode about 5-10 years ago. Like, there were problems back then, and for Marvel, well, all of these ugly problems started to manifest in, on, and around 2021 when they just decided to turn the spigot on the entire way and just flush everybody with content. Now, I watch this stuff, and I don't actually watch it. I just pay attention to it and listen to reviews, see thorough breakdowns of it, and if you lined up everything, if you gave me the appropriate categories, we have this many TV shows, we had this many movies, I actually do not know if I could name every single thing in Phase 4, every single thing so far in Phase 5. I might be able to do it. And I follow this stuff fairly closely, not because I'm interested in it. Hell, I punched out at Iron Man 3, story that I've told a multitude of times. I thought it was absolutely ass cancer then, and I can only imagine, based on some of the reviews, and looking at you specifically, She-Hulk, if it's even gotten worse than that, you ain't winning me back. But Hollywood and entertainment, just like politics and so many other things, regardless, if you don't pay attention to it, it's still going to end up molding your world in some form or fashion. So it's best to at least keep a good gauge on what's going on out there, so you have a more complete understanding of the world around you. But yes, like I said earlier today, Variety decided to release this cover story. Like, they aren't even trying to hide it towards the end of the magazine. No. This is going to be centerfold cover story, baby. Crisis at Marvel. Jonathan Majors, who, yes, is going to his domestic abuse trial here in November. All of that shit stemming back to earlier this year. Innocent until proven guilty, and I tend to take his side because, well, we've seen kind of the evidence, and whenever we see one of these things go forward, I just tend to believe the guy who has something to lose as opposed to the trifling woman. But he's supposed to be the big bad, right? Like, he's right there. You might not even know him. He's supposed to be playing Kang the Conqueror, and like I said, unless you follow this stuff closely, those people, that's basically what's left. Obviously, they're leaving out a couple of the heavy hitters. Like, Spider-Man's kind of in a goofy situation because it's mostly owned by Sony, and Disney can license it out a little bit. But Doctor Strange isn't even on that as well, and I would argue he's probably the biggest name. Thor 5 has been announced. Like, there's some players that are in there. The rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy, especially Chris Pratt, given the fact that he was just in a $1 billion franchise or $1 billion movie this year. Did Oppenheimer hit? Two of the three big ones that are out there. But that's basically okay, including what Kevin Feige, the guy who runs, or at this point in time, after this rough week the Marvel's been having, maybe the former head of Marvel, but that was supposed to be the replacement for Iron Man, who isn't there. You've got Captain America, well, you've got Falcon, and you've got Loki instead of Thor. You've got the late Winter Soldier. Got a Pakistani American, who got her superpowers. I wish I was joking, and I'll be doing a Marvels video here shortly enough, before the movie releases, because I want to see if there's any more follow-ups on that story. The entire plot's out there, for Christ's sakes, but there's some stuff to talk about on that. But Kamala Khan down there, she got her powers mailed to her by her grandmother. That's not a joke. And then Ant-Man, who was, fairly integral to the original Avengers, who, as we're going to be getting into this, they don't have any faith in this cast that's right here. I think that's fairly obvious. So yes, as it says right here, crisis at Marvel, Jonathan Majors' backup plan, which is probably better than the original plan that they have. The Marvel's reshoots, yeah. You remember how they tried to spin this earlier, back in October. I think that was still in October. Oh, actually, the Marvel's is going to be one of the cheapest films that Disney has ever put out. Wrong. It's going to be one of the most expensive. In fact, spoilers, yeah, it'll be closer to about $330 million when it's all said and done, and good luck even making that back. I'm not even just talking domestically. I'm talking world motherfucking wide. That shit ain't making fuck all. Anyways, and reviving original Avengers. Oh, wait, what? You're telling me that the idea that Captain America is simply a mantle and can get passed off, wow, it's following the exact same trajectory of those comic books that you just thought that you could go ahead and cherry pick different plot lines, different characters out of, and you could just slap it on the screen the same way you did those comic books back in the cut, making them overly reliant on these female self-inserts. It ended up killing off that industry, and then you followed those exact same plot lines that killed off your industry, brought them to the silver screen, and surprise, we're in the same fucking boat. Big shock on that one, and more issues revealed. Is really not good for them, man. This is actually quite terrible. This past September, a group of Marvel creatives, including studio chief Kevin Feige, assembled in Palm Springs for the studio's annual retreat. Most years, Dubai would have been confident, even cocky, given how the premier superhero brand, owned by Disney since 2009, has remade the entertainment business in its image. And if you talk to people who like the Marvel films, even the later stuff, like I said, I know when I pieced out, and I've made that very, very clear. But if you talk to the people who actually like the Marvel stuff, all of their favorite content, maybe sans Infinity War, maybe sans Captain America Civil War, most of their favorite projects kind of predate the Disney ownership. You might get some people who still think that, Winter Soldier was real great. That was like right on the precipice, but everybody's favorite MCU films, either the first one, Iron Man, which I would say probably, or the original Avengers, and then it's just all been fucking downhill from there. And we're not talking about those stan accounts that are online that just love the next thing that comes out. It's been the best thing since the last thing. Anyways, but on this occasion, the angst-ridden everyone at Marvel was reeling from the series of disappointments on screen. No, come on, a legal scandal involving one of its biggest stars. Not really, but the guy that you're trying to build your future phases all around, I guess that's important. And questioning about the viability of the studio's ambitious strategy to extend the brand beyond movies into streaming. Yeah, it didn't work. Is a catastrophic failure. What is it? I'm going to miss some of them, but I think that it's close to, is it close to a dozen different streaming shows? I'm not joking. Like, you could keep it straight there at the beginning. The first one being WandaVision, then you had Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Then you had Loki season 1, the only one to ever get a second season. Wow, but I thought they were all spectacular and life-affirming and life-saving events. And then Hawkeye was after that. Moon Knight gets in there. Werewolf by Night. Listen, man, I'm kind of falling apart here. And then obviously going on right now, I still think that there's a couple episodes to come out of Loki season 2. And just prior to this, you had one of the worst, actually it was the worst received streaming show, if not the worst received Marvel anything to come out in Secret Invasion. None of them have lasting impact. At most, you're going to have people chattering about them as they're releasing, but then after that, you're on to the next thing. So you have no time. There's no time to gestate on the impact that you had right there. Maybe you enjoyed something. You don't have an opportunity to miss or go back and relive some of those old stories because no, you're right on to the next piece of content. And that's exactly the way that they treat it, like disposable YouTube videos, okay? Like YouTube shorts. That's the way that they think that you think between your ears. That's all you have, the attention span of a fucking gnat. They've hated their customers for a long time, and now their customers, well, kind of like the picture implies, are just simply walking away. They used to like the Marvel stuff. They have their Iron Man sweaters, they got their Spooderman vests, their Avengers bags, but now, even though there's a brand new Marvel property that's about to hit theaters, ain't nobody checking that shit out because nobody fucking cares. There's been too much of it, and it's been too bad for too long. But the most pressing issue to be discussed at the retreat is what to do about Jonathan Majors. Well, they're actually doing this correctly, but it's kind of also Something else that should be taken into consideration, given the fact that this is the only time in history, recent history, that we can think of during the Me Too time, or somebody who has been accused, it's even gone to court, charges have been filed, that somebody hasn't been publicly fired or publicly excommunicated. He's lost sponsorships, he's lost deals that are out there. But Disney's stuck by them. Normally the first place to cut ties whenever the going gets tough. I think that they're doing right by Jonathan Majors, 1000%, because they have a lot riding on him. It's just interesting to note that he is the first person that they're doing this for. The actor who has been poised to carry the next phase of Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, like, outside of devout comic book readers, ain't nobody knows who the fuck Kang the Conqueror is. Like, I've heard, and I do a little bit of research. There's a couple of good YouTube channels that are out there that do, well, they're YouTube automated videos, and you can kind of tell that by some of the verbiage that's used by the voice actor who's on multiple different channels. So that's kind of a giveaway in and of itself. But when they're referring to cancel culture, they end up saying the culture of cancellation is like a little bit of a fucking red flag goes off. But there's a lot of comic book story arc recap channels. Do a pretty decent job. House of M, a couple of good recaps on that. The Infinity Saga, or the Infinity Gauntlet Saga, the actual way that Thanos was introduced. It's like, that's a hell of a good story. And the one that got plopped into theaters is like, it's good. And like, Josh Brolin was really good in Infinity War, and then he just kind of fucking bungled it up with Endgame. But whatever, it made $2.8 billion. Disney and the MCU was riding high at that point in time. And you know what? Hey, continue to strike when the iron is hot. But instead of having steel hit steel, you have a twig hit a red hot anvil. And then you just burn it all up, and then it all just fucking dissipates to the wind. Oh well. But yes, they're considering different ways. Okay, what are they going to do with it? He's facing DV charges. What are we going to end up doing if we don't have our star? Oh, I don't know. It's all about the characters. You can fucking recast the motherfucker. He's been killed off in every single other iteration and very likely to be done again, even though he has been already during the release of the season of Loki Season 2. Fucking spoilers. But at this point in time, he got beaten Ant-Man, Quantumania earlier this year. He got beaten Loki Season 1. What a big overarching villain. No wonder nobody's flocking to the fucking theaters to see this equivalent, if not greater than villain, overarching villain, to fucking Thanos, for Christ's sakes. Big shocker behind that one. At the gathering in Palm Springs, executives discussed the backup plans, including pivoting to another comic book adversary, like Doctor Doom. Yeah, God, we don't know what to do. Oh my God. Okay, if we can't have obscure-ass Kang the fucking Conqueror, what do you end up doing? Pivoting to, if not the most famous Marvel villain. The most famous, at least top 3. Like, outside of, Spider-Man's Rogue Gallery, like, I think Doctor Doom's probably the most famous comic book villain, at least on Marvel's side. Why didn't you fucking lead with that to begin with? Like, that should have been your number one choice. When you first had the opportunity to introduce your new properties that you just acquired with the Fox deal, the Fantastic fucking Four. Now, during this muddlefuck that is Phase 5, you want to go, no, it was actually Doctor Doom pulling the strings the entire time, and hey, look, the Fantastic Four. What the fuck are you doing? We already know that you're trying to tease some stuff with the Marvel stuff, and like I said, I'll have a video out on that here in the next couple of days. It's like, you've been sitting on this stuff. All for what? Because you liked the way that Jonathan Majors performed in some one-off appearance of fucking Loki at the end of the season. Okay, you thought he had real dedication to the craft because the motherfucker went to clown school. Oh my God, you guys are idiots. These are people in charge, okay? The shot callers over at the most successful cinematic franchise of all time, thinking, hey, we could probably pivot to our biggest, most recognizable villain because this F-list character isn't going to quite work out because he's out there living his Bobby Brown fantasies. Making any shift would carry its own headaches. Majors was already a big presence in the MCU. No, he wasn't. If you don't pay attention to, like they're even admitting, D+ has fucking failed. All of their shitty streaming shows have zero name recognition after they're done releasing because you're just on to the next one. Wow, Secret Invasion sure was a piece of shit. Make sure that you tune in for Season 2 of Loki. But yeah, he was the scene-stealing antagonist of February's Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Nobody remembers that shit. That was the first time where you could look at one of the MCU releases. It was supposed to kick off Phase 5, and it did, by kicking a cinder block wearing flip-flops. 450 million? Is that what it ended up raking in? That was the first time where people went, wow, that shit sucked. Nobody fucking defended that thing. And it even had a knock-on effect with the third and final release of Guardians of the Galaxy, at least for the James Gunn trilogy. Whatever the fuck they do with the rest of the characters that are still alive is anybody's guess at this point in time, given how desperate the MCU is. Who knows? Might have an announcement of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4, being directed by not James Gunn, some fucking knockoff version. Our first ever film that was fronted by an alien director, because they don't give a fuck about putting out good and compelling stories. They just want headlines. This is our first ever, our historic announcement. Key jangle. You remember this? Ooh, stupid. But yeah, scene-stealing antagonist. Does anybody fucking remember? Does anybody remember that? No, of course not. And he's been positioned as the franchise's next big thing in this season of Loki, and he's already died, one of his variants. But good thing, that you need to take this villain, this overarching villain, seriously, because, well, they got an infinite amount of them. And it's like, okay, if there's an infinite amount of him, there's an infinite amount of heroes out there as well. Thanks, multiverse. You really just drop those stakes directly into the fucking sewage pipe you find your current franchise in. But yeah, he's supposed to be the titular star of, what is it called? The Kang Dynasty that's supposed to come out. And yeah, it says 2026 right now, but everything's getting shuffled because the actors are still on strike. Marvel is truly fucked with the whole Kang angle. Sorry, what? Says one deal maker who has seen the final Loki episode. Oh, so does that mean, he's being set up for something that nobody's going to fucking remember, and they'll just be able to either recast him? It's like Jonathan Majors isn't Kang, okay? It's not like this is somebody with supernatural abilities that can transverse the fucking multiverse. You could recast this shit. Like, you've already done it within your own franchise. You remember Edward Norton was the first Incredible Hulk, the better version of Incredible Hulk. Christ almighty, there's another film that you have in development in the Thunderbolts. And hell, that character is even going to, show up in the new Captain America, not called New World Order. I fucking forget what it's called. But the original Thunderbolt Ross, Captain Ross, who was in that previously mentioned Incredible Hulk film, and I think he had a couple of other appearances. I think in one of the Captain America films. But no, he's going to be coming back. The original actor fucking died, okay? And then he got recast as Harrison Ford. It's like, it's going to be very noticeable. If you don't want to draw attention to a recast, you don't hire one of the most recognizable faces in the previous, 5 decades of Hollywood. Like, you guys have kind of set a standard. Like, you could just go ahead and recast the motherfucker, even though you just were out there sucking his dick on the Ant-Man red carpet earlier this year. That's totally fine. You can just move right on. It's like, he's not available to film. Why is that? He's in jail right now. It's a little bit tough to work around. But yeah, and they haven't had an opportunity to rewrite until very recently because of the WGA strike, but I don't see a path to how they move forward with him. Yeah, beyond the bad press for Majors, the brain trust at Marvel is also grappling with a November release of the Marvels. Ooh! Yeah, because it's going to be one of those things. It's going to be hilarious. I don't even know at this point in time because the projections on this are so absolute dog shit. Because it's another one of those rare scenarios, kind of like you had the Barbenheimer phenomenon over the summer where you had 2 films. Barbie did end up making over $1 billion, and I'd have to check out Oppenheimer, but at least combined made over $2 billion, the pair of them releasing at the same time. And here you have the Marvels, a sequel to Captain Marvel that ended up grossing over $1 billion. And then, of course, you have Aquaman 2 coming out, and the previous one made over $1 billion. It's going to be interesting to see who has the biggest fall off. Now, obviously, Aquaman 2 does have that floating turd helping the end of the DCEU circle the drain, so there's that problem. But you do kind of have a bright spot in Jason Momoa. He's a generally likable guy, and, if any of the rumors are true that he ended up dressing like Johnny Depp to just terrorize Amber Heard's on set, he's definitely got my support on that one. But as for the Marvels coming out, what do you have to look forward to? One of the most insufferable characters in the entire cinematic universe, and 2 bitches who you couldn't even fucking pick out of a county lineup. Like, who's going to this shit? Like, just think about this. There is so much content that you have to do as homework in order to appreciate everything that's going to be in the Marvels. Obviously, you have to watch WandaVision to get the backstory on Monica Rambeau, or I'm sorry, Photon is her superhero name. Nobody fucking knows that shit. You have to watch the original Captain Marvel. You have to have watched Ms. Marvel, you and the 6 other people that watched it when it first came out. You have to watch Secret Invasion. Plug your nose if you're going to do so. Like, that's what? 20 some odd episodes of shitty D+ streaming services, shows you got to suffer through prior to Phase 4, one of the worst MCU films to come out. All for what? Something that you can go read the entire plot for right now online? Yeah, it's really not good. But yeah, just gonna gloss over the Marvel stuff because, like I said, I'll have a video coming out shortly. The Marvel machine was pumping out a lot of content. Did it get to the point where people... there was just too much. They're burning people out on superheroes. It's possible. No, if it was good, people would still be wanting it. That's you're just trying to let them off the hook with that one, says Wall Street analyst. Of course, here's a numbers guy just going, oh, there's just too much of it? And it's like, no, it sucked for a long time. And now you guys are just finally coming around to it going, hey, there's a problem at Marvel. Meanwhile, everybody with a set of working fucking eyes and functional pair of ears are going, yeah, there's a problem. But Marvel has never been in the business of being average, even though their quality has vacillated between ugh and alright, with very few standouts. For the people that cover this stuff and just go like, yeah, there's like 5 or 6 like exceptional films, and the rest of it's just kind of anywhere between dog shit and palatable. Kevin's real superpower, his genius, oh my god, yes, oh my god, Kevin Feige, hire me, fuck off. His genius has always been in post-production, yes, oh yeah, that's great. Don't ever get everything right correctly, okay? Iron Man 1 didn't have a completed script, and it was just because of the genius of Jeff Bridges and Robert Downey Jr. that ended up carrying that film to such great success. You can continue to replicate that with the likes of Brie Larson and 2 bitches that they picked up on the side of the road. Like, yeah, see, it's not exactly a fucking winning formula. You don't always have 2 of the greatest actors of all time to go ahead and carry your fucking follies in the pre-production. But no, you can just fix it in post. That's why you have these budgets that are hitting 200, 250, 275, 300, 350 million dollars, because everybody's like, we're not really ready to go, but we need to have something in the theaters. And fuck it, we'll just go ahead and send it back to the CGI dungeons if it doesn't end up looking good. Winning fucking strategy there, Kevin. These days, he's spread thin. Oh, poor Kevin, by wanting to just crank out all of this subpar content. Won't somebody please think of the millionaire? Feige isn't the only person showing signs of strain. Marvel's entire VFX battalion, including staffers and vendors, is struggling to keep pace with the never-ending stream of productions. Yeah, because they're notoriously underpaid and overworked, a story as old as time. This past February, when the credits rolled to the world premiere of Quantum Mania, shocks rippled through the Regency Village Theater in Westwood with some shoddy CGI. Please, I implore you, if you're actually interested in not so much the movie, but everything that was going on around the movie and how much the writers don't even like the projects that they're working on, I implore you, if you have 6 hours to set aside from Mahler's great breakdown that he released earlier this year of said video, cannot recommend it highly enough. There were at least 10 scenes where the visual effects had been added in the last minute and they were out of focus. Yup, it was insane. Has never seen anything like that in my entire career. There were some things like that pop up in other projects, but 10 scenes? Yeah, that might end up pushing the boundaries outside of that. It was insane. I've never seen anything like that in my entire career. Everyone was talking about it. The kids of executives were talking about it. Ooh, schedule swap with the Marvels had left the Ant-Man sequel in the squeeze, pushing its post-production schedule by 4.5 months. Yo, Marvel films are known for coming down to the wire, given Feige's ability to foam the runway and land the plane. Oh, that way. Yeah, exactly. You just continued, man. You just continued to push it to the limit and try to get away with it. It's like when you know that you need to take your vehicle in to get an oil change because you're in on and around 4,000 miles and you need to change it every 5,000. I run on kilometers, okay? So it's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, you just think that you can squeeze out the most possible before you go and get your oil changed. But you've done that time and time and time again, running it right up to 5,000, getting a little bit over, and then the next time you go a little bit further than that, and then this time, well, now you just blew a fucking head gasket because you were too cheap to actually schedule an appointment or have somebody fucking do it for you. Or hell, even do it yourself. Maybe Kevin Feige wouldn't be so likely to just go ahead and haphazardly guide everybody through this if he knew actually what the fuck to do and how the fuck to do it himself. That's just ended up, and that's just what happened with Marvel right there. You just pushed it too far, and now everybody's staring at you on the side of the road where you've got the hood up and everybody else is just driving down the highway right past you. It's like, wow, it's a nice vehicle. Shame you didn't take care of it. In the year of 2023 was the straw that broke the camel's back, says former Marvel Studio VFX assistant coordinator Anna George, who appeared before the Congressional Labor Caucus on October 19th to testify about the studio's untenable deadlines and working conditions. The pay and long hours at Marvel were the reason we had to start unionization process there, and the conditions were completely unsustainable. Heard that multiple times over. It was just, yeah, like it said, the straw that broke the camel's back was Ant-Man, but that had been going on for a long time, precipitously throughout Phase 4. Some internal sources suggest Victoria Alonso, oh God, one of the biggest proponents of diversity, inclusion, and equity policies over at MCU, one of Kevin Feige's right-hand bitches who ended up getting shit-canned earlier this year. The She-Hulk VFX. Or was that at the end of last year? Regardless. Yeah, it says so right there. Yeah, the guillotine fell on Victoria Alonso, who oversaw the studio's physical production, post-production, VFX, and animation. Yeah, she was terrible at her job anyways. But yeah, she was a scapegoat and point to the She-Hulk VFX. Yo! But you made sure that you got the twerking scene correct with Megan Thee Stallion. Who shot Megan? I don't know. Issues as a symptom of a deeper rot, namely the lack of oversight on script development. Yeah, in the original arc of She-Hulk, a flashback of star Tatiana Maslany's transformation, the Hulk character, didn't take place until episode 8, the penultimate episode. Yeah, the way that they kind of concoct all of these series. Everything happens in the first episode to set everything in motion, then everything's just kind of a episode until the last two pop up. Whether it's a 9-episode series or it's a 6-episode series, you can catch the first one. You don't even have to worry about the rest of the shit until it ends up hitting that 5th and 6th episodes or the 8th and 9th episodes. It's run like clockwork, man. The so-called bad VFX that we've seen because of the half-baked script, says a one person involved with She-Hulk. That's not Victoria, that is Kevin, and even above Kevin. Those issues should be addressed as pre-production. Exactly, because if you keep coming back going, okay, we need a entire digital set because the characters are going to the park in this. Oh, okay. So you have everybody working on, a digital park with a bunch of, alien-looking giraffes or something in there. It's like, okay, actually, Kevin doesn't want the giraffes that are there. He wants something that looks more like a cross between a rhino and an octopus. You need to have those, and it's going to be an aquarium now instead of a park, okay? So, okay, just go ahead and do that. Actually, you know what? They're not even going to go there, but thanks for all of that stuff, and we'll go ahead and make sure that you guys get base pay on that one, and we'll come back to you when you need something else. Actually, you know what? We're going back to the Zuku, so can you guys just kind of work on that? So that's the way that the Marvel projects are put together. It's a total shit show, as told by everybody who used to work there. All the while, Marvel was bleeding money with a single episode of She-Hulk costing $25 million, dwarfing the budget for the final season of Game of Thrones, which was legendary for its amount of production, which, I'll tell you, man, looks pretty good. Season 8, Game of Thrones, looks pretty good. But just like Marvel and the MCU, great tie-in that they have right there. Fucking script sucks dick. Giant, green, throbbing, veiny CGI Hulk dick. But without a similar zeitgeist bang. Well, no. Fucking Game of Thrones Season 8 sucks. A weather balloon of Thor dick. August 2022 series premiere of El Capitan Theater foreshadowed what had come 6 months later with Quantumanium Bow. The She-Hulk special effects were out of focus in multiple scenes. Yeah, or they just ended up looking on the wrong side of the uncanny valley. There are signs of flood. The product is leading people to tune out. I'm not prepared to call it a permanent fall, but based on the numbers that go with Marvel podcasts, Marvel-based articles, friends who do Marvel-based video coverage, all with these numbers are significantly down. Oh man, not really. Can't relate because a lot of people have been talking about this shit, covering it along the way. I didn't have video presence, before 2020. I wasn't watching any of the stuff like that. It really wasn't becoming overly apparent that all of the script failures were going to manifest in this way. So not a lot of people were talking about the problems. Maybe a couple of people would point out, wow, that Black Panther film wasn't all that great. And Captain Marvel, that was probably about the point where everything started to tip. But for the most part, it ended up recovering nicely with Endgame. Everybody left on a good emotional high. And it was only with hindsight glasses on where they realized that, wow, Fucking time travel shit was kind of queer, wasn't it? Yeah, a little bit fucking off, don't you say? Yeah, very much so. But yeah, man, in 2019, at its peak, if you put Marvel Studios in front of something, people were like, oh, that brand means quality. That association is no longer the case because there has been so many projects that felt half-baked and undercooked. Very much so. That seems to be the case. But oh boy, there is so many other things that we can talk about in this article right here. Like I said, I'll probably carve out something when it comes to the Marvels here in the next couple of days. And yeah, there's another revelation about another beloved pre-Disney franchise that was going to be getting the MCU variation on it that has been completely and totally motherfucked. And it's something that's actually pretty close to my heart. But I'll have to carve that out for another video. But as it sits right now, Marvel is in total and complete disarray, and well, couldn't happen to nicer, more entitled fuckers. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. One should follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.